Hello, my name is Matthew Gadala, and we are here with Coach Milligan, who leads the Norristown Area High School football team. And we are going to talk about the newly announced spring season for football. Thanks for coming, Coach.
No problem, Matt.
How do you feel about the newly scheduled spring season for our football team?
On one hand, I'm kind of excited. It gives the seniors a chance to actually have their final year and to go out at least to play a couple more football games before they actually move on with their actual life and their career.
How will the season operate?
That's going to be interesting to see. There's a lot of moving pieces that still have to be developed. Like I said, we're still waiting for the board to approve us to actually start meeting with the team and to actually start being able to practice and waiting for them to open up facilities. And then we have to see, what the guidelines are going to be for the weight room. What the guidelines are going to be for us a lot of practice. So, like I said, there's still some moving parts. And then it's interesting to see because, we'll be playing in March and, at that time it's going to be a little cold. So, being able to get access to, the gym, to the field, depending on the weather is going to be a little difficult, a little tricky. So, mapping that out is definitely something that, we got to take a look at. So, we got a lot of things that we have to kind of put in play with very little bit of time.
How many games will you and your team play this year?
Well, like I said, we have to see. It depends what District 1 lays out far as, how many games we can play. Right now, there's only 9 teams in the actual that will be actually playing in this so-called league that we have for the spring season. So what that means we could possibly have a total of 8 if another school or two decides they want to join. Then that opens up the door for us possibly having more games. So, but we have a time frame from right now, uh, early March to I believe either early April or mid-April to get these games in.
Will we only be playing the schools that made the agreement on the delayed season?
Or as of right now, as of this point, that's the focus, that's the plan. Some teams we may not play. The way it's kind of designed, set up. Of course, the Del Val Conference are going to play mainly their teams, and then with it only being 3 of us, who are not in that conference. So maybe we'll have a crossover game or two. Maybe not. Maybe another school might decide to join that isn't participating in this fall season, decides to join in the spring and gets approval. Maybe they'll be open up to joining. So, like I said, there's still a lot of moving pieces, still a lot of unknown that will actually pop up or that's going on that we have to see.
When the season starts, what are your expectations from every player?
Um, Main thing that we have is be available. You have to be there. My expectations for it, just like a regular season. Granted, it may not be our traditional, when we're there from, August until October or July till like October. But the fact is, if this is what you really want to do, this is what you feel like doing, you need to be there. Okay. You can always, like I tell the team and the players before, you can always get a job. Okay. You can always get a job later. You only have one high school career, and that's only 3 to 4 years if you're playing football. So that time goes real quick. After that, you can always go get a job and make money. And we understand that, you have different, family issues that you might have to help out at home. But the fact is, this could lead to you bettering your life if you do things right, if you get the right situation, and you eventually use this to as a tool, to further your education. It doesn't necessarily have to be a traditional 4-year college, but we do have, trade schools that you can go and play into. There's armed service that you can actually play football for. So there's a ways that you can actually use this as a tool to further your education, to better off your life for you and your family.
Will all players get to play?
Um, you know, for us, our motto is, will they get to play? It depends. Do they put the work in? We're not just going to play somebody just to play somebody. One, remember, it's a health issue for us because some of these teams have been working out since, since July, and they get to go and like to go ahead. My fact is, if I know that a kid isn't, suited or physically able to actually go out in the field, I'm not going to put him in harm's way to go up against someone who's been working out. For someone to go from 0 to 100 and go out versus someone who's actually been, hitting hard and everything like that, that leads brain, could lead to brain damage, that could lead to actual bumps and bruises. So we don't want to do that. Our thing is about player safety, making sure everyone's safe during this time, not just with the coronavirus going on, but also with us playing out in the field. That's a totally different safety measure. We got to make sure everyone is physically equipped. As you can see now in the NFL, and a lot of guys are getting what we call soft tissue injuries, where they're pulling hamstrings, they're straining groins and stuff like that. When you go from 0 to 100, those are the types of injuries that you'll get if you don't properly warm your way or work your way up to it in this sport.
How and when will we be able to be informed about when there's practice?
Well, the win is we're still waiting on the board. There's supposed to be a board meeting, I believe, either this week or next week coming up. Who hopefully they will pass the actual revision plan for us to actually return back to sports and allow us to meet and congregate as a team and start working out. So that's the win. The how it'll actually go out, I'm assuming that definitely the board members and our administration have been very active, definitely on Twitter. So I'm assuming they will make an announcement. It's also up to the athletic department to make an announcement. But also I will make an announcement to the players and anyone interested via our social media outlets. We have a Twitter page, we do have a Facebook page, we do have a Instagram page. So once I know, I will have a meeting with the team, let them inform them know, what is going on and what our timeline will be, or if we're even approved. I will then try to meet with the parents, let them know what is going on. And of course, in this day and age, once one person gets a hold of it, it can spread in a matter of seconds. So it'll be out there once it's been approved and everyone knows. Believe me, it'll roll out there and word to go through this town so quick, like a hot knife through butter.
When will the team start learning the playbook?
Well, we had Zoom meetings. We started back in March when we first couldn't be able to actually meet. So hopefully they remember that. We will still try to do Zoom meetings and stuff once we find out what our start date is. And actually, by this whole pandemic of what we're in, actually helped me and the coaching staff kind of shrink things down to make the playbook even easier for the players to actually learn. So by us going smaller, hopefully it allows the players to pick things up quicker and allows us to play faster and play fun.
Are you concerned that there will be fewer players on the roster due to the virus?
Yes, I am. Not just because of the virus, but also look at the timetable now that we're at. Usually most players are eligible due to the fact that, hey, we started school, they eventually passed and moved on to the next grade. So now they're actually eligible to play. If I have a kid who is not attending class online virtually, he could possibly be ineligible for the season by the time we go back in January. So we take a look at the timeline. We go back in January. We're there. That is generally the end of the second marking period. And then we start to go into the third marking period, around February. If that kid hasn't been online, hasn't been doing his work, now he has definitely, jeopardized his playing time and actually being eligible in the field. Also, I take a look at some of the freshmen. One of the plans is to have the freshmen actually move up and play varsity this year and to get them on. So if they're not online, if they're not acclimated to what it's like to be in high school, now they could possibly be ineligible. So that's one of my actual major concerns, is making sure kids are eligible during this time so we can field the team.
Will players need to get a COVID test along with their normal physical?
Uh, that is one thing we have to decide through the board. Far as I know of, Not other school districts aren't making it mandatory for players to actually have a COVID test at this time. So there's one thing that we could do. We do have connections where we can possibly get someone in to help give us a COVID test before the season starts. Now, as far as us doing one every single, day or every week, that gets a little expensive. So I'm not sure that's what's going to happen, but it's something that we can set up and talk about. Like I said, that's one of the things that the board has to actually talk about and go past. So to actually mandate a COVID test, every week, then now you got to make sure you do that for every kid coming in the building. And you think about, how that's going to be. So just doing it for a bunch of, players and then having to do it for a whole school is kind of different. And sometimes that takes up time and effort. So not to say that we're not going to have it. I can't say that we are going to. So that's kind of, up in the air. That's some things that have to be discussed through administration. That's kind of out of my hands.
How will practice run?
Practice run, to us as normal as possible. Of course, depending on through our guidelines of getting guys dressed and everything, some of the things that's going to be different as far as locker room use. One things we're discussing about if we're going to allow guys into the locker room or not. If guys want to actually have to take stuff home with them and bring them back and be on the honor system with that. So that's going to be, an issue that we have to talk about. So that's one thing that might look different for practice. Also, of course, guys bring their own water. That's going to be a little bit different. As far as sharing water bottles and stuff like that, those are some of the things that are going to change those a little bit. But for us actually going out and running our new routine plays, doing our routine periods, that is still going to be the same. But it's still to be excitement, to have fun, and we're out there playing football. So we're not out there to be timid and be, light, but we are also out there to be cautious and make sure no one gets infected with this deadly virus and make sure we're able to have fun.
Will players have to wear a mask during practice?
Of course, we have team. What we did was for a fundraiser, we did go out and we got masks actually made and we got gaiters made. So students will and players will actually be mandated through our team rule to have masks and gloves. Okay, because that will actually help still stop the spread. So players will be mandated to have a mask on or a gaiter, so they can actually, make sure when we're not practicing or we're not in any type of active drill, they do have their mask on and that they actually are able to keep themselves safe and with social distancing. If you ever been to one of our practice, we actually do naturally do social distancing where we do break up into groups. And then inside those groups, we are in kind of small numbers. And then even in those small numbers, the way that we run our drills and stuff, we are actually distanced apart inside the drills and the stations. We use the whole field for practice. So it's not just like we just, are using 20 yards and everyone's in one station. We actually use the whole field for practice where each position will be in a certain spot. So like the offensive line will be down at one end zone. The quarterbacks may be in the middle of the field. The receivers may be on the visitor sideline. The running backs may be in the other end zone. So that's kind of how, we definitely have guys situated and broken off to keep that whole 6 feet, apart rule going. So, and then when we go to our team period, of course, we're going to be inside with our, players going at it. But even still, those who are on the sidelines will be socially distanced, and we will have a coach to help monitor that.
Is the full team going to be able to practice all at once?
Hopefully, that's the goal. So, that is our plan. Kind of need that. So, also depends what our numbers is going to be. So, with that being talked about and depending on, us getting approved, we can say, hey, this is our plan to actually get approved and everything. But it's kind of up to the school board to actually go ahead and approve everything.
And how will that work?
Well, one, it has to go to a committee, first of all, which it went to a committee last week and it got voted to go up to the board for a vote, via vote. So the full board will eventually vote on it. I'm trying to remember if that meeting was last night or if that meeting was the 26th. For some reason, I want to say that next board meeting is the 26th of October. So hopefully by November, we have some type of answer of what we can do. If everyone is very concerned and highly concerned about that, then I highly recommend parents and players to attend these school board meetings so they know what's going on. You cannot sit on the sideline. I believe that's one reason why where we're at right now. Besides our numbers being high and the board looking at our safety issues, you know, parents have to kind of voice their opinion and their concerns of what's going on.
How will scouts and recruiters be able to watch the players that they have their eye on?
Well, the funny thing is, recruiting has taken a different turn this year. Because it's just not us with this issue, but most of the major colleges, a lot of D2, D3 schools are not playing until the spring, and some of the D1 schools, they did move their start date back, so they understand that the recruiting process is going to be a little different. So, like for instance, they're waiving the SAT and ACT for scholarship eligibility. Okay, so they are still looking at your GPA, but you won't have to take the SAT and ACT. So that's kind of just for this year. Another thing is, they are having different types of outlets far as combines. We will actually be there was a combine, I think, the 17th of October that just passed that I know I sent out to the players. I know there's one that's happening in February that's coming out. We are kind of partnering and working on partnering up with a recruiting service to actually help out the program. There's a way I can still send out information to other schools, and then there's also the film based off of last year. If a school's definitely interested, they will definitely be on top of a player. Now we understand that things happen each year and new players pop up each year, and need a chance to shine, and they will definitely take that in consideration. Like I said, one thing a lot of people don't realize, granted, you have a whole year to be accepted into a college and university. So, let's just say, for instance, yourself, Matt, if you were looking at, maybe University of Penn or University of Florida, or, trying to go to Penn State or Oregon or somewhere like that, they do have the opportunity to actually accept you, all the way up until June, or even all the way up to like July. Now, is that likely to happen with some of the bigger schools? No, but some of your smaller schools, like at your science, like a Villanova, some of those schools, they do operate that way because they want to see what kids, how they're actually academically they fit throughout the year. Also, they understand some circumstances happen with different students. So, they do have that open window. And plus, people may not, decide to go to that school. So things open up. So there's always a chance that a person can go to college, and switch schools at the last minute. That's always feasible until school starts. So basically, you have up until like August or September in order to get enrolled into that university. Some of them have rolling admissions, which means they always accept students, So there's a way. Like I said, I coached college ball for a number of years, and there's ways that a college coach could get a kid in if need be. So far as if there's any stipulations, no. But if a school really wants you, they'll find a way to actually get you into school. And the biggest thing that speaks volumes is your GPA. So as long as your grades are right, they'll definitely find a way to get you in.
Will fans be allowed in the stands?
That question, like I said, is up for debate. Now, if we were inside according to our league rules, we would allow to have fans. Currently the PAC conference, all the teams that are actually playing home, they're allowing their home fans to actually attend. The visitors team cannot bring their fans. So, inside the PAC, they allow that. Now, could things change far as what the governor ruling might be on far as the capacity allowing of people inside of a stadium or congregating on large numbers. If that changes, then we might be able to see half capacity of home and away fans. So that also depends on what the governor is going to rule.
Is there anything else you would like to add?
um The only thing like that is, hopefully everyone's staying safe. Hopefully, the players and families are actually, one, attending school, make sure they're doing their work and getting their school first, because that's one of the major things, making sure that, your academics is done. That's one thing that no one can take away from you. As long as you're doing what you need to do to grow mentally and to grow your knowledge, you cannot be stopped. So even though this is a small, I hate to say a small bump in the road, but this is a huge hurdle. Not too many people have been through this at all in our lifetime through this pandemic. So, this is definitely new for everyone. But, just like we said, we'll trudge through it. We'll get the job done and we'll go ahead. Our new motto now is finish the job. So right now, no matter what our situation is, we're going to finish the job, and the players are going to learn to finish the job. That means schoolwork and everything else they actually are part of.
All right. Thanks for talking with us today, Coach. We hope football has a great season, and watch for details about game times and be sure to watch online.
Thank you, Matt. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Coach.